Go ahead and kick it off. Shake off the
Oh wait,
rust.
wait, hang on, hold up, pause. What am I looking for? Okay, you could.
All right, cool, great.
I have no idea. I felt like I was looking for something, but I have no idea what I was looking for.
When that happens,
It'll
okay.
come to me halfway through.
Of course it will. That's all right. Let me write it down or put it in the thing. Here we go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Flash and Dash podcast. Although, as you can tell, we're missing a member here, but it is tonight. It's going to be the Flash and Dre Dubs podcast. So, Dre Dubs, welcome.
What's
How
up?
are
What's
you?
up?
Usually the best producer in the business behind the scenes
That's
on the
right.
Flash and Dash podcast. Up front and center tonight. How you feeling?
I don't know, cause this ain't. I mean, I'm a gamer, but this ain't really my realm.
This is
So
not your
this is
realm. You
this is
you
gonna be
know
interesting.
you're a usual cog in the machine on the SGA podcast, but in the Flash and Dash podcast, you're behind the scenes for a reason.
That's right.
It's
That
but
is
that's
most
okay though.
definitely right.
That's okay because on today's episode of Flash and Dre, we're going to be covering some Halo Infinite, some stuff, some Cyberpunk, some Game Awards,
Oh, two games
all
I know
that
right,
stuff.
right off the bat.
Good times, good times. But what have you been up to? I mean, it's been a while. It's been a minute. You've been up to, I'm gonna do the usual what I do here with my partner in crime, Dash. But what have you been playing or up to?
So what have I been playing? Actually, I just recently downloaded well, I didn't download it, but my system automatically downloaded the finally released second DLC for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
Oh,
So I'm
you still
about
playing
to.
that?
Yeah, I am. I've been waiting almost a whole year for that second DLC. It took them forever. I don't know if it was COVID related or if they were just taking their time, but
Hmm.
it finally got released. So I haven't played it yet, but my plan is to play that here or at least start playing it here within the next couple of days.
Okay.
Uh been heavy into Black Ops Cold War,
Mm-hmm.
mainly because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
us were going heavy
I'm gonna
with it,
get back
especially
on that.
once Nuketown came out, Nuketown 24/7.
24. As a matter of fact, I got code right here
So
for
see,
some double XP action. I know my light's gonna mess this up, but little double XP action on the code. We don't have a sponsorship from this company whose can this is.
that is
I'm
very
not
true.
gonna, but I will let you know some double XP. I got 15 minutes on this can. I got another can in the fridge. That's half an hour. I'm
So
saying
like the
I'm
thing
double
is,
XP
because
out here.
we were going hard on it mainly because now we've got our own gripes and complaints about the game,
Yeah,
some a
sure.
lot more than others, but it's not that
I
bad.
don't care. It is what it is.
But really we were just going hard because we just want to get unlock certain camos and stuff like that for when Warzone comes
Yes, we
out,
are.
which
Yes, we
that
are.
just got announced.
It
It's
did.
coming out
And you know what?
the
That is a
16th.
perfect segue. And I appreciate that because you know what? We're just
Oh,
going
and
to
I'm still
roll.
playing Madden.
We're not even going to discuss that. So we're just going to roll right into the Game Awards. And I'm glad you brought up this little Warzone stuff there for Cold War. Because let's talk about, before I get into the logistics of the Game Awards and some of the winners there from the 2020 and some of my thoughts on the Game Awards altogether. Let's talk about some of the announcements. One of which, as you were about to talk about, the Warzone, the Cold War Warzone map, season 1, all that stuff. Trailer
Yes.
drop. How you feel about that?
So here's the thing: when we were all playing Cold War online, even through all the stuff that people were complaining about, one of the big things that everyone was talking about was which guns and attachments from Cold War will transfer over to Warzone.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all talking about it. We were like, oh, well, this one has to, or I don't know if this attachment's going to carry over. I don't think this gun's going to carry over because they've got it in Warzone, yada, yada. Well, and I might have read it wrong, but
Okay.
the way I read the announcement, it said that every single weapon and attachment available in Cold War will be available in Warzone.
Hmm.
Now
Okay.
they say that. Now, granted, I don't know because that means there would be two versions of the AK-47. I don't know if they'll keep two versions of the AK-47. but that means the AK-74U is coming over, all the
All
LMGs are
that,
coming over,
all that.
all the now here's the thing, the assault rifles, you know, the M16 is a 3-round burst
Yes, and
in
all
Cold War, but it's a fully automatic in wars or in Modern Warfare.
in Modern Warfare. I think it'll just play like how it does in Cold War, though. That would
Yeah,
be my
unless they
assumption.
give you the option to, like in Modern Warfare, you can switch between,
Mm-hmm.
single fire, burst fire, or fully automatic.
Right.
Unless they give it that option, which who knows? But
They
just
could,
them saying that
but
every single weapon, all that kind of stuff is going to be available.
right.
That's a huge win for them.
Of
Um,
course.
there's so much content that's supposed to be coming out. The new map, it's placing you in like a deserted island type deal. Like that's where they're
Yeah.
doing like a bunch of testing and all that kind of stuff back during the Cold War and
I
yada
like
yada.
new map stuff. I like how that's looking. I mean, I
New
will.
gulag.
Right. I mean, I will try it. Like I said, whatever anybody else, whatever y'all planning on play, I'll play. Like I don't care. I'll get on there. We have access to it, so I'll play it. It's fine. Like I don't have any major gripes about Cold War. It's just
The
I,
campaign is
I
legit. I mean,
didn't
but
play the campaign.
Black Ops always has a legit
It
campaign.
does. I will say that.
Now, I'm not
But
gonna. I didn't play the fourth one,
okay,
but
yeah,
because I was burnt out after Black Ops
of
3.
course. And here's the thing also that I think that I like about Cold War, specifically is the field of view option that obviously is not in Modern Warfare because it didn't it was right before that stuff was really starting to become a possibility.
Hmm.
So that was a huge addition that I think was a big positive because when you start up the game and the speed and just how the game moves is it's it is like Stone Age slow, right? In comparison to, especially in comparison to Modern Warfare, and it's just kind of jarring. And then once and Dash had already had the settings kind of set up, and he let us all know like kind of what the switches to. Once you change that field of view, the game speeds up exponentially and just becomes, I don't want to use the word easier. It just becomes,
Cleaner.
just opens up, right? It just opens up more. And that's what field of view does. That's the advantage PC gamers have had for years.
Hmm.
So, field of view is it's a thing. And a field of view is one of those things that it, it's a big deal. It's just a big deal when it comes to first person shooters and having a slight competitive edge, if you will.
Yep.
But again, the game, it becomes much more playable with that option changed appropriately to the proper settings. So that looks good. The Warzone stuff looks good. Like I said, I'll play it. It is what it is. We'll jump in there. We'll get it cracking.
Yeah, they said December 16th, so we got 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And everything will be live. Obviously, Black Cold War is gonna get a bunch of new modes also. Um, stuff added to multiplayer, stuff added to zombies, different things
Yeah.
like that. But we all know that, and don't get me wrong, zombies is lit like it always
Oh
is
yeah.
with Cold
Yeah.
War. But everyone's here for Warzone. Like that's gonna
Of
be the
course.
main thing that just
Of
see the
course.
integration of it, and a definitely a different map, a brand new map. Like it's gonna be fun.
Mm-hmm. I will speed through a couple of territories that are not in your wheelhouse, but I'm gonna stop. I'm going to slow the train down as I go through them. I'm not gonna stop it. I'll stop it when it's appropriate. But I'm gonna speed through the fact that one of the huge announcements from the Game Awards is that Smash Brothers is adding a new fighter. And it's always a big announcement when they add a new fighter to the game. And it's Sephiroth, the main antagonist. I faint even call him a villain. It's weird, but the main antagonist from Final Fantasy VII, one of the probably the most famous and infamous villains or antagonists in the history of video games. Period. Is coming into Smash Brothers. It's very appropriate. Cloud's already in Smash Brothers. It just makes sense. He's egregiously badass and it fits. He fits into the world of of Smash Brothers, and I'm sure a lot of people will use him, and he's going to be a heavily used character. I'm sure. I know you have zero input or maybe
Well,
5% input on this.
I'm gonna ask this question just because of everything that you just said.
Good.
So with everything that you just said, and well, okay, I have two questions. My first question is: the Smash Brothers usually do like updates, like in-game updates and stuff like that, like we see on Xbox and stuff like that,
When
with like Call of Duty and Madden and just certain games like that. How they'll have updates throughout the year.
their updates mostly consist of additions as it pertains to characters. So it being a, fighting game, it has fighter passes, and I think they're up to like fighter pass 5 or 6 at this point. And those, in those packs, obviously you get the groups of fighters for that one set price, and you get little costumes and other things that come along with that, soundtrack, music stuff, slight, aesthetic things. But that's their main addition to Smash Brothers, consistently adding characters. And the roster of characters in this game is absolutely absurd. It would take me 20 minutes just to list all the characters that are in this game. I'm exaggerating slightly, but it's a laundry list of characters in this game.
All right, so I asked that because I was going to ask you if you think that the addition of this character, if he's going to be OP from the start, and they're going to have to kind of like nerf him at some point.
Is a good that they do. Obviously, it is a it's a fighting structured game. So obviously they have balance. They have to nerf characters. They do the same stuff they do in other fighting games. So yes,
Gotcha.
I do that. Could I see Sephiroth being an OP character kind of out the gate and then having to nerf him? Yes, absolutely. Because you you have to set the tone with how the character plays, and then you figure it out as you go along. He's got a dumb shit long sword. So how's that going to translate to gameplay with a sword character having OP reach? It could be OP, because a lot of the other sword characters in the game, their swords are much shorter.
Gotcha.
You look at a character whose sword is probably twice the length than some of the other characters that are currently in the game. So yeah, that could be an issue, but it just depends on how they designed his skill set. So and how they designed his moves and such. So we'll see. But exciting for me as a fan of the series in general. Yeah, it's exciting for me. It almost makes me want to play, like buy a lot of the missed fighter passes that I haven't really got any of the fighters that have released since the game came out.
Mm-hmm.
So it almost makes me want to, because I have a passion for Final Fantasy VII and those characters, but it's probably not enough for me to. I like the thought of I would. It makes me want to get all of them, but I'm like, I probably won't.
Gotcha.
So moving the train right along, we're gonna head to Fortnite's big announcement, which first started before the Game Awards, which I think was a few days prior to, and that was them announcing Kratos being into, as a character, skin or whatever being added in. Which I almost feel like certain characters translate weird into that game, and I don't understand their placement, but that's neither here nor there, because Master Chief was getting added, and that's kind of a huge deal.
Definitely. Even though I've never played Fortnite in my life.
And it's not my thing. I played it like maybe once or twice just to see,
I've watched people play it, but I've never been like.
It's much more fun to watch.
Yeah, I've never been like, oh, I gotta play this game, and
because the problem is, and the reason I couldn't keep up with it and stick with it is because it requires you to do too many things at once that my brain just can't. It's not for me, because playing those style of games, this is a shooter. I'm going to shoot things. Like, that's how we decide this, right? And not really, because that game, the whole premise of how that game operates, how well you do is how well you can build. And I just can't, because then
I think my problem was that between Fortnite and PUBG, I played PUBG, and the problem was that game is very slow and boring.
Yeah, PUBG was very.
Like
but
you can
just
go a
have
long time. I mean, you could. I mean, granted, the moment you
man,
land, you could get into a firefight right then and there,
you
or it
could,
could be
but
forever before you even see somebody.
20 minutes, bro. You
So I think through playing that and like with with both of them being battle royale type games, I was like, if this is what Fortnite is going to be like, just with more like colors and cartoon like and dance and stuff like that, I was like, I don't need all that. So I
right.
think if I had played Fortnite first, maybe I would have played it um
Perhaps. Even
longer
still,
or
I
just would
just
have played
the
it. But
building just throws me off. I can't because then you got to build up and down and left. You got to be building and then switch to shooting at the same time. I'm not. Come on, that's too much. I'm no. I'm good on that. I'm all right. I'll pass. But again, Master Chief being in there is a big deal because now you're getting a character, and the same thing with Kratos. Now you're getting like characters like cross platforming that almost aren't even supposed to, and it's like a sidestep.
right,
It's like a loophole in character exclusivity because now you're getting Kratos. You see him. You playing Fortnite on your Xbox, you're gonna be seeing Kratos. Like you playing Fortnite on your PlayStation, you're gonna be seeing Master Chief there. Like this is weird, but it's Epic has this like lock on things where they've managed to make these companies play together because they force Sony's hand into crossplay. So and now it's like they're getting characters on all these different systems, and they're just like they figured out the loophole somehow.
hmm
Um, but
most definitely.
and that loophole is it's Fortnite. Fortnite is the loophole. Um, but I'm excited just to see the character in there. I just think it's dope. It's Master Chief. So anything Halo, I'm like, oh, cool. I will watch it. It's not enough probably to make me play it, but it's fun to watch. My only concern is I hope they have because there's this whole, a big thing with this game is, cosmetics, aesthetics, emotes, dances, all this stuff because it's a free game. So they predicate on, the predatory nature of, oh, let's get people to buy these things that
Yeah,
they're just purely cosmetic. They add nothing of structure or relevance to the game,
right.
unless you tell me you get something of value, like you can get these things to get like better guns, like gun packs, like stuff you would get in Call of Duty, like you spend money on those battle passes, you're getting blueprints for guns, you're getting new guns, you're getting things that
The tracer rounds and all
that's what I'm
that kind
saying,
of
things that
stuff.
can add stuff to the gameplay, not just like, oh, you get a new character skin. Like, all right, I'm not here for like if I get that in one of the levels during the unlock of the battle pass, that's fine. That's all well and good, but I'm not finna pay $5 for a skin. Like I'm not doing that.
That's true.
Like so I just hope that they have a very specific set of emotes. Now again, I don't know how those things work. I don't know if it's just like you have a set and it kind of translates to whatever skin you're using because my brain is like now so there's the danger part where I'm like, okay, so does that mean now that Master Chief's in here, you can use him as one of your skins and have him doing silly, stupid dances? Because my brain is already like, I don't like that.
That is 100% not Master Chief's personality.
It's not at all. I don't like that. I don't like the second I see that, I'm going to be angry. It's just
Now, it'd
like,
be funny though. Granted, it would take, it's something extra you'd have to do for that specific character. But it'd be super funny if like they had it built in to where if you start to do a dance with him, like he starts for a little bit, then he's like, and then he
yeah, but see,
stops.
I could get down with that. Yeah, I could get down with that. That'd be cool. But I don't. If he's if I, I'm gonna. Ah,
They're gonna have Master Chief out there doing the latest TikTok dances.
oh my god! Please no. I I severely hope not. But again, who knows? I just hope that that's not the case. So again, keep the train moving. Oh, speaking of Game Awards and the announcements still, so we're still in this train.
Choo
Um,
choo.
Another exciting announcement, some trailer drops. We got a cinematic trailer for Perfect Dark, which is big deal because finally that just cements the fact that it's like, okay, so thankfully they're not leaving this franchise for dead. Obviously it's under one of the branches that Microsoft owns. So they've been thankfully they haven't just been sitting on it, which is good. Perfect Dark was still one of the highest rated games. If you go to Metacritic, it's one of the highest. The N64 version is one of the highest rated games ever to this day. I think it holds like a 97 or a 96 on Metacritic. The 360 version, Perfect Dark Zero, while not excellent, it wasn't elite tier game, it was a very good game that got a lot of gameplay time because it was one of the like launch kind of titles for the 360, and a
Hmm.
lot of people were playing Perfect Dark Zero, and myself included, because this was before, any Call of Duty even got real big, because this was Call of Duty 3. People were really playing that like that. It was good, but you want to get on there and playing a shooter online, everybody was playing Perfect Dark Zero. Everybody was playing Perfect Dark Zero. That was the killer. That was like the first killer Xbox 360 game, was Perfect Dark Zero. Um, so new Perfect Dark, whenever it comes, I don't even think they put a date at the end of the like a year date at the end of the trailer. Again, it was just a cinematic trailer, nothing like gameplay. So
More like a
it's
teaser instead of a release announcement.
correct. So we're a ways off of getting any information about this game, which is fine. I just want to know, just as long as we know it's happening and something in the works, that works for me. It's
So
fine.
I'm gonna throw a question at you since you said that. And I'm pretty sure, and we're gonna kind of get to it when we talk about Cyberpunk. Do you, as a gamer, as a hardcore gamer, someone that's been doing this, since the beginning of gaming, do you
30
like
30
it?
years.
Do you like it when these companies announce a game
I
way
am
in
so
advance,
glad
or
that
would
you
you
mentioned
rather them
this.
wait until like, hey, we know for a fact we're releasing this game at such and such date. Now we're gonna start doing trailers. Kind of like, so basically, do you like games doing it what they do now, where they announce like years in advance, or would you rather games announce like they do movies? Once the movie's done, now we're gonna drop the trailer and tell you this is the date it's being released and yada yada.
I swear you you read in my mind, because I thought about this earlier, this exact thing. So here's the both. To answer your question, the answer is both. And
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Because there's sometimes, if you have a game that is not, and Nintendo has done this. Nintendo did this year with Paper Mario Origami King, where if you have a game that wasn't necessarily on the radar but is a big game, and it's just kind of okay, we're almost done with it, or we're done, and people don't really need to know, we haven't been talking about it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, people might want another one, but we're not sure. But again, nobody's talking about it, we're not putting any information out there. Nintendo was like, Paper Mario Origami King, you know here it is, and it's coming out. It was like 2 months later or something like that. I was like, oh, okay, great, no problem. Okay, I like that. And there's a flip side to that, though. The flip side is, and I'm going to use a company as the example, BioWare.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the flip side is what BioWare is doing. I don't like, and that is, they're telling us there's too many games they're working on, right? Like, and I'm gonna jump a little further down the train and then jump back here, which is Mass Effect, right? We got
Right.
a new Mass Effect trailer at the Game Awards, or teaser trailer, which is cool, which is dope. They kind of led on to this months ago when they gave us the information, or a month ago, however long ago it was, when they officially announced the legendary, the remaster for the original trilogy coming out. Great, that's dope. We all want that. And it was kind of like, and we're working on a new Mass Effect. Cool. Here's a teaser trailer that we got at the Game Awards that kind of confirms that. Great. But I don't need to know you're working on Mass Effect. It'll come out sometime. I don't need to know you're working on a new Dragon Age that you've been working on. It's going to come out sometime. They're working on, what else they got on there? They got other stuff. I it's too much. I don't need to know that. J- just let me assume you're working on New Dragon Age, okay? Because you probably are. And when it's done, uh, tell me, and then be like, okay, New Dragon Age is coming out in 6 months. Great, perfect. Don't tell me, okay, we're working on New Dragon Age. You might get it in like 2024. I don't need to know that. I don't need to know that. I don't want to know. I don't care because by the time it's relevant, I've forgotten about it. Because you tell me you're working on a game and it's not going to come out for another like 4 years, I'm going to forget 2 hours later. So I don't care. Don't tell me the same thing. Quite frankly, the same thing with Mass Effect, because I already don't care that there's a new one, that they're working on a new one, because all I want is to go I want to replay the remaster for
Mm-hmm.
the original trilogy. I want to play the remaster for that. That's relevant because that's coming. That's on the closer window like radar. The new Mass Effect, that again, what are we talking about? 2-3 years from now, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? They don't even put they even put a year date on it. I don't care. I
When
don't
you
care.
question mark.
Right. I just don't care. I don't care. It's that far. And you got too many projects. You got too many big time projects on your plate that you're working on already. Just give me one when it's closer to that time. Stop. Stop dropping all. It works when you do this stuff like how it always works. On a yearly basis when you talk about like a expo show,
Mm-hmm.
like when you talk about like E3. A lot of companies, they give you a game announcement at E3, and the game comes out at the end of the year, like fall, winter, quarter three, quarter four. That's when you get that game from that game announcement in E3.
Right.
Don't don't give me a game. And this year, everything's all out of control this year because COVID, and nothing happened. No packs, no the E3, none of that. All we got was summer of games that ran way too long and was way too funky. There was announcements all over the place. It was just weird.
And then
It was just,
Microsoft and Sony doing their own
yeah,
virtual announcements and stuff like that. But
right.
mainly it was for the systems. Like,
Right. And it was just kind of like, oh, here's this game 2022. Here's this game. We don't know when that's coming out. I'm just like, wait, what? Like, I don't. Here's a new this in 2023. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't like new Forza. Cool. I assume you're working on new Forza anyway. When's it coming out? We don't know. All right. See, don't tell me then. I don't care. It's like Forza Horizon 5. Are we gonna get a new one? Probably. But they're not talking about it. Great, don't talk about it. Is it gonna? Could it come out next
so
year?
I'll
Yeah.
tell you,
Don't tell me about it.
I'll tell you who does the absolute undisputed best at this.
Nintendo.
No. Well, okay, let me backtrack. I'm gonna tell you what gaming company uh does this the best,
Nintendo.
and it's Rockstar.
Okay.
Because Grand Theft Auto 5 came out
Oh my
what
god.
feels like
Yo.
100 years ago.
And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that. And I've been waiting a long time to bring this up on one of these shows, and we've been off for a while. Think about this. I want you to close your eyes, not literally.
Oh well.
And you could have, but and I want you to think about this. Grand Theft Auto 5 is officially about to span 3 console releases.
Mhm.
I want you to let that sink in. Everybody
Well, technically, can't you
watching
already
this
say
back,
it has?
huh? Yes, because remember, Grand Theft Auto 5 originally
Came out on the
released for
360.
360 and PS3.
Mm-hmm.
Then it got official
No.
release
And I
for
got it
PS4
again.
and Xbox One, and we all bought it again. And now it's going to get another update slash remaster, or whatever you want to call it. Not necessarily remaster, but it's going to get an update and an official PS5, Xbox One, X and S release, separate from the previous versions.
And yet people are still constantly talking about we're waiting for 6. Like everybody's
I'm
like,
waiting for
when's
six.
Grand? And
Rockstar's
like the
waiting
people
for
are saying
six.
so much about it
Y'all
that
ain't getting
Rockstar
six.
doesn't have to come out and say like to try and get, because I feel like companies do it to try and get people like hyped or
Hmm.
motivated about it or whatnot. Rockstar's like, y'all are doing it yourselves. Like y'all keep coming out saying we want Grand Theft Auto 6, when's Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out, yada
You
yada.
keep buying five.
Right. And everyone keeps putting in money into the online, which the online is great.
Right. The
Like, so
interaction
Rockstar's
online
just like,
alone,
we
they're
don't
like,
have to say anything. Rockstar's like, look, we put out Grand Theft Auto 5 and we didn't say a single thing about a possibility of Grand Theft Auto 6 or anything like that.
nope.
But then a couple years later, we just roll out Red Dead Redemption 2.
Hmm.
And because to my knowledge, I don't remember hearing a whole lot about Red Dead Redemption 2 before its release. Like it
Not
was,
really. It was, yeah, it had some light hype, but they didn't,
but it
you
wasn't
know,
like a years in advance type of announcement.
no, I don't think
So it's
so.
like, hey, y'all are focused on 5, so we can focus on Red Dead Redemption, even though they're already, developing the
And
game.
that's how this cycle works for them. And they're gonna ride out Red Dead Redemption 2 online for a while, right? I mean, yes, we'll probably get a new GTA before you get, a new Red Dead,
Oh yeah,
but obviously, but I mean, because like I said, we're talking Grand Theft Auto 5 is it lasted through an entire console generation. An entire think about that. Like Tom, this is
like
madness.
PlayStation
Yo.
2, because I actually can't remember the very first, because I was young and not allowed to play the game. But I can't remember if the first Grand Theft Auto was released for PlayStation. But I know PlayStation 2 was like
Are you
heavy for
asking me
Grand
for a
Theft Auto.
confirmation? Because I
If
can
you
give
want
it
to
to you.
if you want to
Okay.
confirm that, you can.
And when you say that, you mean Grand Theft Auto 1?
Yes,
Like the original, the
the
top
OG.
down, sprite Grand Theft Auto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was PC and PlayStation 1. So
Okay.
yes.
So, because to me, like PlayStation 2 was my introduction to Grand Theft Auto with Grand Theft Auto 3.
3, correct. Because
Um,
the original, it was Grand Theft Auto 1, had that top down style with the sprites. That was Grand Theft Auto 1. It was GTA London, and it was Grand Theft Auto 2. Were all like that. And then PS2, you got Grand Theft Auto 3 and the new, the 3D models and all that stuff.
yeah. And to me, that was like, they put out what was it, Vice City,
Vice City, you
and
got
San
Vice City and San
Andreas.
Andreas on PS2.
So, you had multiple iterations on that one
I feel
console.
like there's another one missing
And
there, but
then I think there was another one. Uh,
escapes me. Unless that might be it.
oh, I mean,
Vice City,
four.
San Andreas, and well, yeah, 4. That was on the next console,
Yeah. But
right?
and that's the
Yeah,
thing. And then but like 5 came out and it was just so literally perfect that they literally could sit on it.
yeah, because that was before, and then you got to remember it was at the end of the PS3
It was towards the end of 360
360
PS3.
lifespan, and this was before this was before the GTA Online service even went live. So, and then the entire generation span of PS4 and Xbox One, this game went through, and it's still kicking,
So
and
all
is
I'm
getting
saying
a
is
new update.
Rockstar is the best when it comes to holding on to information about a game and then releasing the information about that game at the right time and not just because they need to release something or say something.
They don't have to release shit. Rockstar's got 2 games in circulation right now that are of any relevance. Do they have other? They probably have their name on something else, I'm sure. But
Yeah, but when you have one game that's bringing in billions,
think about that. You talking about GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 are running at the same time right now, and they have nothing else going on. They have nothing new going on. They not like, oh, we got a new game coming out. No, it's just like we're just gonna keep updating the online services for this stuff as we need to.
mhm,
I again, and I've said this before, I'm sure, but they have the model figured out. That's like you release a game that people want to play, and you pump all your resources into keeping it stable. Like that works. That just works. Like there's no two ways about it. Like I don't know how other companies haven't figured this out. The EA needs to go do, shadow. They need to go shadow Rockstar.
EA.
This isn't that hard to figure out. Like, put resources into the longevity of your game. Like, you don't need to keep releasing and releasing and releasing. If you update and do things properly, you can just make this shit work.
We all
Like,
know it's not gonna happen, but we've all been saying what we want
just
them to
trying.
do with Madden.
I'm just trying. I'm
Like
reaching, and
it's just who knows.
whatever. So, there was some other announcements too, but in the fairness of time, I don't want to get thoroughly deep into all the Game Awards announcements. But there's a lot of stuff coming. You can go look it up. There's a lot of good stuff coming up, coming out. There's a new for anybody that cares, a new what is it called? Back for Blood. So it's a company that the developers that made the Left 4 Dead games. So if anybody liked those games, they're have separated from the company that was holding them back from releasing a new Left 4 Dead. So they just went and just pretty much did it on their own. So, this is very much like a Respawn situation where Respawn left Activision and went and made fucking Titanfall. If
Okay.
anybody doesn't know who hasn't played Titanfall 2 are some of the best shooters of this past generation. So if you haven't played those games and Game Pass and my Game Pass endorsement coming in the next few minutes, my my weekly Game Pass endorsement.
If I
But
remember, I'll put the link to the Game Awards article, somewhere in the description below. Hopefully I remember.
bingo, yeah, producer stuff. But yes, so that the Game Awards, but I will discuss some of the winners, and I'll just get this out the way. Last of Us 2 won most of the awards. But it won Game of the Year, which kind of was a no-brainer. I mean, really, Game of the Year was really down between Last of Us 2, Ghost of Tsushima, and probably Hades. Um, I don't have any. I have Hades on my Switch because it was really just Switch. Hades was only released on Switch and PC. So I own Hades. I've played some of it. I have no reference point for Last of Us 2 or Ghost of Tsushima because I don't own a PlayStation at the moment.
Yeah,
So would I have played those games if I don't own a PS4? Of course I would have played those games. Do I plan to eventually
it's one
play
of the
them?
5
Yes.
games the system got. You have no choice but to play
Of
it.
course you have to. You don't have a choice. That's what those systems do. Again, I've mentioned this plenty of times before. Sony is where you go for the big time blockbuster single player narrative blockbuster A1 games. You're not getting multiplayer there. Not anything worth of any like longevity value. Like
Yeah, nothing that's
most of
not
the
cross-platform anyway.
yeah, you might get some niche kind of multiplayer stuff. Oh, that was kind of cool. Like Uncharted had some multiplayer. You're like, oh, that's cute. But I'm not here for that. Like, but it is what it is. Like I said, Last of Us 2 won most of the awards. They won narrative awards and game direction awards and all this stuff. But it is what it is. Mobile Game of the Year for mobile went to Among Us, I'm pretty sure,
And
which
is
makes
there any
sense.
game that had the biggest rise and fall than
I
Among
mean,
Us?
people are still playing that. It fell from a perspective of how
So
high it was,
So when I say
but
fall, I mean in the sense of like you could not go onto social media.
oh
You
yeah,
couldn't turn on the TV. You could
fair,
like
fair.
everything was either talking about it or was referencing it or had some type of, connection to it. Like it was all over the place.
Yes,
To be honest,
that was also like Fall Guys. Fall Guys probably, in my opinion, fell way
I never
faster.
played Fall Guys. I saw someone play it once, but I never really got
It was
into it or
also
anything.
that game also was because of accessibility because it was only available on PC and PlayStation.
Right.
Whereas Among Us, you can get on your PC or your phone, your tablet, whatever. So it was more. Among Us was way more accessible. I think Fall Guys will get another spike when it eventually comes to Xbox and probably hits Game Pass. Because if that happens, then it's going to spike again. But Among Us fell. I mean, like, Fall Guys, no pun intended, fell really fast. It's like really fast. Like it had like a week. Among Us was rocking for a while.
Yeah,
Among Us,
it had a good couple
it
months.
was it had a high peak that lasted. It plateaued for a long time before it kind of fell off a little bit.
I'm gonna tell you what really hurts. And trust me, it's a great
And
game. Like I
also, Among
enjoy
Us is coming to Game Pass, the
like I
PC
enjoy playing
Game
Among
Pass.
Us whenever I do. I think the biggest issue or
It'll probably get
reason
another
for the
spike.
fall of Among Us, or the slight fall of Among Us, I guess, just in popularity and pop culture and stuff like that. It's just the fact that everyone loves playing Among Us when you go into your group chat and they're like, "Hey, here's the code," and all your friends are the ones popping
Mm-hmm.
into the code.
Mm-hmm.
Because then your games are quick, your games are fast, like you're getting in and out of them, no problem. You're all
Yeah.
talking about it and everything.
Right.
But
People aren't leaving. The problem, yeah, and
when
this
you're in
problem
there with
is
people that you don't know, and
randoms.
people be popping in and just
People
popping
popping
in and
in,
leaving,
leaving.
and it's taking the
It's
game forever to
uh,
start because you're sitting there at 8 people, and like
that
you're
was the bad experience of Among Us. But that's like most multiplayer games, is that if you're
yeah,
playing with randoms, you're probably not gonna have a great time.
right,
But Among Us suffered from it a lot in the aspect of, and I know because I played a lot of games with randoms. Like, well, let me just hop on and play a few matches, whatever. The problem is that when you get in a game, and most people always wanted to be imposter. It's
yep,
the most fun portion of the game is to be
right.
the imposter or one of the imposters. Uh so a lot of people, if you get in the game and they're not the imposter, they just leave. So you had a match that started at 10, and then now all of a sudden there's 7 or 6 because a bunch of people left because if I'm not an imposter, I'm just gonna quit and jump
And
back in.
then even if you do stick with 10, how do you it's much harder to defend yourself to 900 people that you just have no idea who they are and they don't know who
Randoms.
you are.
No,
So
you
they're
don't.
just like,
I mean,
"Hey,
it
I
is
saw,"
interesting though.
like I mean, I'm usually like a green or a black character, but they're like, "Hey,
Of course you are.
Green was in the electrical room. He was kind of
Sus.
sus."
Everybody in the electrical room is sus.
And I
So
was
let's get
like,
that understood right
I was like,
now.
yo, and every time I get like 5 tasks in there, I'm like, yo, why do they keep giving me tasks in here? I'm like,
Electrical
yo, I
room is
was literally doing
sus.
such and such. Like, nah, he's imposter. He's got to go. So like usually like in those rando
Sus. You
groups,
floating through
I'm always like
space.
one of the first two people that get booted out, and I'm rarely ever the imposter.
That's your fault.
Like I'm
Sus.
just like, yo, like this is ridiculous. So then I just get petty, and as the go, I always stay. Like I don't just dip out, but as the ghost, like I just don't complete my task. I'm just chilling, following the imposters around.
Hella
Like
petty.
I'm like, all right, since y'all didn't want to listen to me, I want to do all this.
Hella
Like
petty.
I ain't doing nothing. Like when I'm playing with my friends, like yeah, if I get caught, like I'm gonna finish my task and stuff like that. But
Right.
if it's just randos, nah. Not unless they, if I just didn't put up a good case, or if I did put up a good fight, and like it
Mm-hmm.
was, it was close, like whatever. But if it was like a straight automatic, this person said, "Hey, vote him out," and everyone just voted me out just because someone said so, like there was no deliberation or anything, I'm like, nah, y'all ain't getting my task completed.
Super sus. Yeah, so that one for mobile game. Uh I saw Final Fantasy 7 remake took that was the one game that was gonna make me buy a PlayStation this year. It won, an award for score and music. It won, I believe it won.
That's
Let me just
understandable.
checking. Yeah, I'm checking. It won for RPG. Um, so I still want a PlayStation. That's the reason I want a PlayStation. If we're being honest, I want to play Final Fantasy 7 remake. But by the time because I think it's on a time exclusive for like a year or something like that.
Hmm.
So by the time that comes where I'm able to the point to go back and get a PS4, it'll be on Xbox
I just want
anyway,
a PlayStation for
and
Spider
probably
Man.
on Game Pass. For who?
Spider Man.
Yes, that's the other reason I just want to play through that.
Spider-Man
Um,
games have always been great. Like when I had my PlayStation 2, I loved playing. I think it was Spider-Man 2 that was
yeah,
out when I had my PlayStation 2.
yes.
That was a good game. I enjoyed it. But
um Mortal Kombat 11 won for fighting game of the year, which is the nominees for that category were weird.
for real,
A lot of times the companies they put together a weird, it's like they don't know, Fighting game is a weird category because unless you poll a certain demographic, you're not going to get the right games in there.
Did they get
So
Dragon Ball Z fighters or Dragon Ball
no,
fighters? I should say.
no, I don't think that was last year that
Oh
released.
yeah, you're right.
That game is older than it feels like it is.
You are
But
right.
Mortal Kombat 11 was in there. A Grand Blue Fantasy Versus was in there. I don't even know what most of these games are. Street Fighter 5 Champion Edition, fine. But there was a One Punch Man game in here that apparently wasn't even very good. Under Night in Birth. I'm like, I don't even know most of these games. So I'm just like, yeah, obviously, not to take anything away from Mortal Kombat 11, but obviously that was going to win outright because
Yeah.
if you were voting on this category and you weren't like super into fighting games, and I'm into fighting games, and I didn't know what 4 of these games on the list were. So I'm like, you were just going to look at the list and you were going to see Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and just vote for one of
And
those.
right, and whether you play, Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, you just off of name recognition, like, all right, one of these two games has to be it. So,
Right.
blind check, and I'm gonna go with this one. Like,
Sports and okay, first of all, there's a category for sports and racing. Now I have a problem with that.
I do too.
And I'm like, because those two things don't go together. Yes,
I understand in real
racing is a
life, racing is
sport,
a sport. Exactly.
but don't then
And
you
gaming
can't
is
have the
and gaming
category.
is not the same as real
It's not.
life.
And
Like, it's
and then you
just
can't title the category sports/racing
right.
because then you're definitively putting a stamp on them being two separate entities.
Because in the gaming world, like, the type of skill set that you need for a sporting game is
Totally different.
different from the type of skill set you need for a racing game, especially if that racing game is like Forza. Like,
Right.
because there's a completely different skill set between Need for Speed and Forza.
Yes. And
So you can't just lump all those
it's
together and be like, because it's competitive athletics or competitive sports, like, we're just gonna throw them all together, because it's not really, the gameplay of them is not necessarily the same. Like,
no.
you can throw someone into a game of Madden and be like, hey, go figure this out, go do something, and they'll play, especially, well, if they're up against a computer, they'll play all right, they'll play decent. But if
Mhm.
you throw someone in a game of Forza and you put them on, like, you have to play on, novice, rookie, whatever, I forgot what their easy mode is called, but you have to put them on that, because if you put them on advanced and they're playing, they got to manual shift everything, and they got to do handbrakes and all that kind of stuff, it's not ending well for them.
No. No.
Like, it is
It's not.
completely, like, you've got to put time and effort into racing games to figure them out and different things like that. So I agree. I basically said all that just say I agree with you that they shouldn't classify
Yeah.
those together.
It should be too because here was the category. Here were the nominees for that category, right? It was I just had it in front. Okay, it was the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 that had just came out the remaster, right?
Right.
Dirt 5, F1 2020, FIFA 21 and NBA 2K21. You're all over the map with these. Like, those games don't even they have no business all being in a category together. Like, just at all. First of
Because
all.
because here's the thing, how do you even compare them? Because
You
even
can't
though,
compare those games.
because FIFA, when it comes to mechanics, is one of the better sport games mechanic wise out there.
Right.
2K got some of the best sweat out there, based on their trailers and everything. But how do you compare those to a Dirt 5? Like,
That's my problem. And Tony Hawk won. So I'm like,
and Tony Hawk
I
was
don't have
only
any.
in there because of nostalgia. Like, let's be
Sure,
honest about that.
sure. And apparently it was a very good re-release, it was a very good remaster, and that's great. But I'm just like, those games don't go together in my book. They just don't. You can't. It's not fair to have to pick one out of those because I'm just like, that's silly. Some of these categories are silly.
And could you
Like for
imagine if
example,
you're someone like FIFA and you lose to, I'm just saying Dirt 5, but like, if you're a sporting game, you lose to a racing game and you just don't really know why. Like,
right. Uh, you're just like, I don't understand. I don't understand the context. Um, Action adventure was Last of Us 2. And then there's a separate and there's a category for action. And I'm just like, I get that, but I'm just like, I never understood I mean, it's fine, I guess. I just I get action adventure and action do exist on different platforms. I'm just like maybe I'm just, and Hades won for action game, which is great because, like I said, it's a good game. Um, maybe I'm just bitter that Last of Us 2 just won so many awards. I'm just like, yeah, all right, you got Game of the Year. Like, it's like, do I gotta get 5 awards? Like, game direction. I just, all right. Enough game awards. Enough game awards. Let's move on. Let's gonna keep the train rolling. Let's move into what should be the last topic here. Cyberpunk.
Dum dum
And I'm just
dum.
gonna call it Cyberpunk everything. Cyberpunk 2077. 20, did I say that right? 2077?
2077, 2077.
However you want to say it, whatever. I don't care. Cyberpunk.
I about to say, I think some people just say cyberpunk. They don't even say the
Nobody's saying that.
2077
Right.
part.
We don't. Just Cyberpunk. It is out. It has hit the streets. Finally. It's available for purchase everywhere. And that's part of the problem. And I'm just going to lead off with that because here I go. I'm playing Cyberpunk on Xbox One X, and
Same.
you are as well. One, let me preface by saying I've played a few hours, I think. I'm still in the intro part of the game, but that's still within a few hours of of the beginning of the game.
Correct.
Um I haven't had any issue. Now, granted, the world hasn't opened up to me in full yet, where I can do whatever I want. But I haven't had any issues that were game breaking. I don't think anybody has had any game breaking issues with this game. The level of bugs varies based on what version you're playing and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't heard anybody having any game breaking issues with this. Like, oh, I lost my save. Oh, the game totally like, you know, stop playing. I mean, yeah, obviously,
So,
yes,
so
there's
the
some
biggest
crashes,
issue
but
that happened to me, and it's really the only main issue that I've had. So like I'll be doing something, and then in the middle, like my game would just freeze,
yeah,
and it'll
that's
stay
it.
frozen for a couple minutes. Now, twice it's coming out of the freeze, and I've been able to continue on as normal. But
Mm-hmm.
most of the time, like it just stays frozen,
Mm-hmm.
and like then it'll just cut off, and I'll have to go back in and start up the game again. It'll do that maybe once or twice a day. Uh,
And is your progress where you left off for
well,
freeze?
I'm just because of who I am.
Saving
I,
every
I like I
4 seconds.
save periodically anyway, so that's why I'm not
Basic
too like
RPG
obsessed
strategy.
about that or too
Right.
upset about that because I do save periodically. So I can't really answer that question if it saves or if you got
Now,
to go back like a lot or whatever.
so I will say, I assume this is not a problem for people playing on the 1S or the 1X with quick resume because the game shuts off wherever it shuts off. When you turn it back on, it should be right where, oh,
That
crashes or
would be a
whatever. If
question
you
for Dash
restart,
since he has a Series X, but someone.
correct. Mm, but I'm pretty sure it the way quick part of quick resume is functions is that it just picks up wherever, like if you lost power and everything went out, you unplugged your console altogether, it would just pick up back wherever you left off. So I assume that would be the case for Cyberpunk, but I don't know for sure. Can't say for sure. But what I was leading into, Uh, part of the problem off the rip is that this game is across too many platforms. And it's the consumer's fault, first and foremost. I don't blame CD Projekt Red for this game having quote unquote, and I'm going to quote unquote this because for it having problems. Because in my eyes, it's not, this is what, let me back up the truck. Maybe about 6-ish, 7-ish years ago, roughly, I was heavy into PC gaming. The current PC I have now was when I got it, and I was tinkering with it, upgraded video cards, did all that stuff, and I was in the PC world. I was on Steam, getting Steam deals. I was in it. I was playing PC games. PC gaming is a different beast. What console gamers complain about with games like how Cyberpunk is,
Mm-hmm.
if you notice the uproar of what you hear right now about Cyberpunk is coming from the console community, because the PC gaming community understands that this is a thing a lot of the time. And let me not say a lot of the time, but a decent amount of the time, games, one, will ship with bugs because there's no way to eradicate all of them in a game this size. First of all, let's not
That's why day zero and day one patches are a thing.
exist, right? Because you have to understand what these games require. And again, we're going to leave Rockstar out of this because again, they're playing on a different they're playing on a different playing field than everybody else. But these games, this world of in this game feels so alive and it's so relevant in it of itself without you as a focal point.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just existing and you just happen to be there. It is having to do so many things on its own without interaction required from you as the player. It's mind-boggling. I don't think most people stop to think about that because they only think about what themselves as the character is responsible for.
Correct.
So, but this game is doing so many things at one time in the background. Like if you just look out and the things that are happening, there are conversations happening without there are conversations happening that you walk past and through that
Bro, I be
continue,
stopping sometimes. I'm like, oh, what's going on here? What they talking about here? Like, I'm intrigued myself.
right, that just continue along after you're gone. And I say all this to also say that again, these games, PC gamers have been dealing with this because the games have bugs. They understand like, okay, there's a patch coming. And a lot of PC gamers understand like, okay, this game is coming out. Are there any bugs? They know they're getting support because a lot of these PC games, there's forums, there's places to input feedback directly to developers where they take that feedback and release patches based on that feedback. If they notice a lot of feedback about the same issues, the same things, they know what to focus on. Console gamers have a hard time understanding that that's how things work. And if we're moving towards a reality in a realm where that's what gaming is turning into, because let's be honest, these PS5s and the Xbox Series, everything's, they're computers now. So if you're anticipating, you're expecting your consoles to function and play and look pretty much how PCs do, yeah, this is what you need to start.
This is the new normal.
This is what the new normal is going to be. So you need to learn from what PC gamers have been dealing with for 20 some odd years now, at the very least, and just kind of go with the flow.
And see,
this
and
is what this is what it is.
I think we're kind of used to that because we're used to, and I hate to go back to Madden, but we're used to Madden doing that. Madden drops within they now recently they've been having day one patches, but typically you'd have to wait like a week. And then after a week, they would release that first patch to
Hmm.
fix whatever, whatever was wrong at launch.
Yeah,
And then
everything.
now they're releasing stuff, different patches every month and different thing, or every 2 weeks, something like that.
Hmm.
So we're kind of used to that, and we also understand that we get it. Like the day we play the game, we're like, okay, by tomorrow this will be fixed, or let's see what's changed tomorrow versus today and stuff like that. Like we know it's not going to be the same.
Right.
But I feel like those people that don't play those sports games or Madden or anything like that, they're not they're not used to that. They're used to whatever game they get. Back in the old day, they pop that disc in
Working
and it
around the
just
clock. That's
works.
the PC. That you're right. The console gamer mentality is I bought this thing and it needs to work perfect out of the box. Yeah, it's a gray area, but that's not how things work now. Maybe before that was a thing, right? That was that's a dated console mentality, because when you like you talk about NES and Super Nintendo and N64 and all those generations of games and Dreamcast, there was a hard stop, right, where that stopped being a thing. That was even still a thing early into the kind of PS2, Xbox, OG Xbox days, where you would buy something and you just put it in and it just worked. Because but this was, and I'm talking about, I would say this is the pre online days,
Mhm.
because once we merge into that territory, now you start to have more games where developers like, okay, well, if something is amiss, then we can you can download a patch, you can download an update, you can download stuff. Pre-download and online era, yes, things needed to just work out of the box, because they did. That's how console games worked. You bought it off the shelf, you put it in, it worked. It was in just the ecosystem of the box. Now your ecosystem is the cloud. So yeah, you just gonna have to live with the fact that you're gonna get updates, you're gonna get patches, and you're going to need to give feedback. Developers, I will say the feedback for developers needs to be for consoles. They need to make it more accessible. They need to have a platform more accessible for console gamers to to allow them to give them the information.
Yeah, because
Because
I
it's
highly doubt they're reading the comment section of the Microsoft Store.
correct. In the PC gaming world, that they have forums, they have all this stuff that is designed for this. Console gaming, not so much. They need to find, that's where they need to bridge the gap, because if you it needs to just be implemented into these games now. There needs to be a section where it's like, okay, if you're having an issue or you notice a bug or something crashes or whatever, you need to be able to go in the options, and you need to say send feedback, and that feedback needs to go directly to the developer. That's what they need to start building into the console versions of these games, because all that stuff already exists in some format in the PC world. They need to find a way to translate to bring it over into the console world. Until they bridge that gap, they're just gonna have console gamers that just don't understand how this works. But this is how this works, and like you said, this is the new normal, and they just are gonna have to adapt and get used to that, because you
Right.
want more powerful systems. You want your console to play like a PC. Like, yeah, I want what the PC gamers got. Okay, you gonna get all of this though. You don't think you just gonna get specs and everything is you gonna get a PC and
Yeah, I
not
don't think
get
you're just getting the positives
you
with it.
don't,
You gotta get some of the negatives
nah, play, you getting
as
all of
well.
this. And I'll come back to the point where I was trying to make, that Cyberpunk suffered from two things.
Hype.
You could throw in hype, and hype would be the third thing. It suffered from, first and foremost, it was, if you want to say that it needed to, and for this particular release window, I understand the fact that it needed to cross two generations.
Hmm.
Fine. If that's the case, this game shouldn't have come out till sometime next year, April, right? But
February.
they had already been it had already been pushed back, and it got a couple more pushes because of COVID, which is totally understandable.
Hmm.
But for it to and a lot of the delays happened because they had to make it work on previous gen. So if they knew they needed to make it work, they needed to tell everybody, yo, y'all just gonna have to wait till next year. Because that's what Halo ended up. That's what 343 ended up having to do with Halo, which quick note is now coming out fall of next year. And my early prediction for that, and I was off on that because I didn't expect that to happen, but I'm glad it did now, because it's Halo. So get it right. If Halo's not, if a new Halo drops and it's not a masterpiece, you've
Oh my
missed it.
gosh.
You've missed the whole point, because it needs to recover from a Halo 5 that was and a Halo 4 that was good but not a masterpiece. So you have to set a whole new ground for, and now you're going to get more interest, because now you've put Master Chief in Fortnite. Now
Hmm.
you get the interest that like, oh yeah, I forgot Master Chief.
Younger players that are
Now
playing
you're getting
Fortnite
younger
that don't
players that are
really
like, oh, what's this
know
Halo
about
about?
Halo. Yep.
This is it. Halo Infinite has to be a 10. It has to be a 9, 10 game. Hands. This has got to be Halo 2.
Right out the
Okay,
box.
no, and I've said that before. Halo Infinite needs to be Halo 2 for this next generation. Bottom line, point blank. And my subsequent prediction, now that I've now realized and have learned that next year is the 20th anniversary for Halo, bet money that fall you're getting a Series X Halo edition console with that Halo dark green skin camouflage, whatever. You're getting a Series X version console edition for Halo Infinite that will
You heard it
release
here
with Halo.
first.
Heard it here first, baby.
We're recording this December 12th, 2020. Not sure when this will actually go up. Hopefully
Don't worry
sometime
about
next
that.
week. But
Yes,
December 12th, 2020 is when this was said.
book it.
Live
And I don't care if
recording.
I'm wrong, but book it. If I'm right, you ain't going to hear the end of it.
There ain't nothing wrong
But
if you're wrong.
right.
But
So
if you're
book
right,
that. Halo Infinite
someone better be
console.
sending you a system.
Facts. Let me get that. And it'll probably be, they could still charge. The funny part about it is they could still charge $500 for it because you're going to get Halo Infinite day one on Game Pass. So they really don't have to charge more money. They could maybe charge a $550 just for the fancy skin, right? But
They'll throw something. They'll throw something in there to
probably
justify the 550.
right. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But also, Game Pass is the best deal in gaming history. Period. I don't even have any qualms about that being like up for debate anymore. And I will go as far as to say Game Pass is the best subscription game. Like it's the best subscription deal. Period. That's including Netflix. Yes, better than Netflix. If you ask me, like, yo, you can only afford Game Pass on Netflix, I would cancel my Netflix subscription.
That's bold.
Easy. I wouldn't
That
even.
is bold.
Easy.
I can definitely see Game Pass like beating, music subscriptions and stuff like that.
Game
But
Pass
but
is
to beat
undefeated.
like
Yo,
Netflix and Hulu and stuff
Game
like
Pass
that.
is better than Netflix for me. It, I, obviously we're talking about apples and oranges content wise, but for what you get price value wise, you're getting way more with Game Pass than you do with Netflix. Like, just you talking about, you look at a service, a Game Pass that not only includes, Microsoft's, release title A1 blockbuster titles, right? But you're getting a lot of third-party developers, a lot of indie developers. You're getting everything that's on EA Play. You're getting access to, obviously, you get that Xbox Live Gold included in your Ultimate subscription. You're getting, access to being able to play your cloud gaming, on your phone or laptop, a PC, whatever, wherever you can play that.
Coming soon to Apple.
Coming soon to Apple, and coming soon also, you heard it here first, coming soon to TVs. Because bet money, you know how when you buy a TV, that little Netflix symbol is on the corner of the box.
Yeah, like
Your Netflix symbol, all that stuff.
the apps that come with the television and everything. Mm-hmm.
Bet money, Game Pass or cloud gaming is coming to TVs.
Do you think Sony TVs would have it?
Good question. Probably not. My guess is that they'll strike a deal with Samsung, and that it'll go there first.
Understandable.
So, but also heard it here first. That cloud gaming symbol, Game Pass, whatever, that will be a TV included in TVs going forward. Going forward from when, I don't know, but I bet you that's coming. But Game Pass is undefeated. There's way too. Game Pass is so good. I think it's too cheap. That's how good Game Pass is. Think about how crazy that is. Because you get for $15 a month, Think about what you get for $15 a month.
I do not need my Game Pass Ultimate subscription going up. Just
You don't need it going up, but think about Netflix. Your Netflix subscription now costs more than your Game Pass subscription.
I don't pay for my Netflix.
That's not the point. I'm talking about how much it costs because it's about to go up to $18.
That's my brother's problem.
Hey, I'm just saying, for those of you that are paying out of pocket for your Netflix subscription and not stealing it from somebody else,
I'm not stealing. I have my own account. You
I'm just
got four
saying. I was
users.
just
I pay for the Hulu,
I look.
and then that's bundled with Disney Plus. So
All I'm saying is that for me, I'm there's no way Game Pass Ultimate can remain at $15 for the lifespan of this thing. I don't know what the cap is because obviously you got to cap this thing off somewhere. You can't just like Netflix, for example. It's been going up. It's been going up. It was $12. You know, it was 10. It was 12. It's 15. It's about like I said. It's about to be 18 or whatever.
so what is that? That is
You got to cap this somewhere. But for Game Pass, like I would
okay.
at the moment.
So 15 a month. And granted, with taxes, yada yada yada. But if you just exclude taxes and everything, we're just going 15 a month. That's $180 a year.
Tax on that stuff.
So would you be willing? Would you be willing to do so they up it since we're saying 15, would you be willing to do because they usually do it one of two ways. You either pay monthly and your monthly subscription is $20 a month.
You mean like
or
Amazon thing? Like Amazon
or
Prime
do you
does.
just pay $200 and you're covered for the year?
Like Amazon Prime does. Like you get a discount on the yearly.
Right. Because that's how companies can guarantee, hey, we've got them locked in for a year no matter what.
I probably still pay by the month because that upfront cost for me. I'm a sucker. I'm always gonna be a sucker for the monthly joint because the upfront cost is just too much.
If I can pay
If
it,
I could pay it, I would. That's different. Yes, if I could, I would do. I would obviously, pay it for the year. Plus, as a monthly thing that you don't have to think about anymore.
Right.
I would. Yes, obviously, if I had it, I would do it that
but
way.
I think every service I have that's been that I do yearly, I think I have them all spaced out. Like none of them are all in the same month.
Here's the other thing that's great about Game Pass is that I don't remember the last time I actually paid $15 for a month though, because there's always a deal.
The rewards,
not just the rewards, but there's always a deal. Like there's always a sale. Like the last one I just bought, I bought a 3-month from Best Buy. It was on sale for $20, or Target. Matter of fact, I got it from Target.
So how much longer do you think that's gonna happen though?
Always. And because it's not like the introductory offer from Microsoft where you get you pay $1 for a month or $1 for 3 months or whatever. This is just random this is just steady sales. And then like companies like I use CD Keys a lot. So cdkeys.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can get subscriptions from them. A lot of times I'll get a month for like $10. Or I'll get it for like $12 or whatever. And you can also buy like a year. You can buy like 6 months, I think, or 3 months, and they'll have they'll have it discounted. So I actually never pay the full $15 for my Game Pass Ultimate. If like a Best Buy or a Target doesn't have a deal on it, I'll go to CD Keys, and sometimes I might get it for like 10, but most times it's never full price. So like the regular price will always be like 12 or like $13, whatever the case may be. So I always re-up through a different, like a third party. Game Pass is so undefeated. It just
get Game Pass.
Game Pass has too many games. Like every time I go back into Game Pass, I'm like, yo, man, I got more. I guess I'm gonna download these 2 games. They look dope. I don't have to pay for them, so whatever. I play. I have such a backlog of games because of Game Pass. I'm just like,
I know they pop up in my library.
Oh, Game Pass is fantastic. If you have a Xbox and you don't have Game Pass, I don't know why. The attachment rate on Game Pass for Series S and X was like 70% or something crazy like that. I'm like, first of all, the other 30% of you, what are you doing?
Those other 30%, they were dev. Like they just didn't know, or they just didn't have Ultimate. They were just
Shout out to Dev, free
like
Dev,
we don't
because they
really
didn't.
know what this Game Pass is all about. Because
My
when we
man
actually explained
said
to him
we're gonna
what he's
spend 10
missing out
seconds
on.
on Dev here because apparently my man didn't understand. I was like, man, you pay. I was like, do you pay for your Xbox Live Gold like separately? He's like, how else would I pay for it? What? What are you talking about?
And the only reason we knew is because he said he was having issues with his EA Play, and I was like, "You're not
Hold
even gonna
on,
have to
wait.
worry about that here soon, because all
Right.
that's gonna be on Game Pass
So
anyway."
confused.
And he was like, "Huh?"
Hey, he was like, and then he was like, I don't even. What did he say? He was like, I don't even play on PC. Because we was talking about Game
No,
Pass
no, I thought he
Ultimate.
said he didn't even have Game Pass Ultimate. He
He
only had
didn't
like
because they
basic.
had regular Game Pass and and he had EA, and then because he had Game Pass, the standard Game Pass,
Right.
he was like, "What I need Ultimate for? I don't play on PC." No, that's not the only thing that's included in Ultimate.
We were like, "Oh,
My
Dev."
man Dev was paying for Game Pass, EA Play, Xbox Live Gold, all separate. That's like going to
While
McDonald's and
still buying
buying,
games.
and that's like going to McDonald's and buying a combo meal, but buying all three things separately. The person behind the counter was like, "Yo, you just want to get the meal?" He's like, "Nah, I'm good." What?
You do know that this is a number 7 for us, right? No, I mean,
That's
just
all
give me
right.
what I
Just
asked for.
give it to
Just
me. Just give it to me separate. All right, man. Yeah, okay, no problem, boss.
oh, shout out to
But
you, Dev.
yeah, shout out to Dev, free Dev. But yes, get Game Pass. I don't know why you wouldn't have it. But anyway, get
Friends
Game
don't let
Pass.
friends game without Game Pass.
Oh man, we're putting that on a SGA t-shirt. On mine specifically because I'm the champion of Game Pass here. So but you 100% right because if you're not doing Game Pass, you're missing out. But again, and my final point, which is still I'm gonna close out with with the Cyberpunk stuff, is that the point that I was trying to get to, the second point for Cyberpunk, is that the reality of things is that it should have been a game that was a PC next gen only release game.
I 100% agree.
That the fact that they were effectively forced, and I use the word forced loosely because it was a funky window because this time and it was a transition period, and if you do that now, you're leaving like 170 million people like kind of
And with the way the
dead of
console
the water.
sales were going, and it's just
It
your
was too.
numbers would not have been what they could have been.
It was just too much money to leave on the table. It wouldn't have been a smart business decision at the
Right.
moment.
Because the
And
only
I
reason
so
I ended up getting Cyberpunk was because Dash ended up telling me like, hey, it's not going to be like it's basically going to be dumbed down across the board for the
Mhm.
current gen system. Well, yeah, they're still current gen. For the current gen systems, they're not going to be upscale for the next scale or for the next gen systems until later. Because
Yeah,
my
they
plan was
were
I wasn't going to get it until I got my Series X.
right. But the
Um,
new consoles are not playing those games. They're not playing new versions of those games. They're just
right.
upscaling current gen versions of those games.
So and then if you get it now on current gen, you'll get a free you'll
Right. You
get
get the
the
free
upgraded
upgrade.
version of it once you upgrade to the Series X,
Right.
or Series S, whichever one you prefer.
Right.
But once you upgrade to the next gen system, you'll get an upgraded version. So that's the only reason
Hmm.
I ended up getting it, because I was like, well, if it's not even upscale, like if I'm playing the same as everybody else, let me just go ahead
You
and
ain't
get it
missing out.
now. Figure out
Get
what I
some time
like,
in.
or and then just
Exactly.
upgrade it
But
later.
in my opinion, that's the biggest problem for this game is
Yeah.
that this is a game that was built for PC. First of all, let me say that starting up this game and just navigating through the menu, I'm like, oh, this is a PC game. This is not. This is because the way the cursor moves around, it's like a
Mm-hmm.
mouse. I'm like, oh, this is a PC game. Yeah, this is not a console game. First of all, y'all are anybody that fired this up and was like, yeah, and had a misconception that this wasn't a PC game. I got a news flash for you. This was a whole PC game. They built this as a PC game. this had no business even being on console in the first place. But the fact that it is fine. Only, but it should have been a next gen only. Really, this should have been PC, PS5, Series X, everything. Like this shouldn't have been even. This shouldn't have even seen the light of day on current gen console. No way. And that's ultimately the biggest problem with this game, because then they had to go back, they had to dumb it down, they had to take things out, they had to make sure it worked across all the. Nah, bro. I feel for them because they were put in a very tough position with the timing of when this game had to come out. Because had this game come out like had the release window for this game been like 2 years from now, they would have been able to get away with that. They would have been able to be like, this is next gen, this is strictly PC, PS5, Series X, Series S. If you ain't got one of those, you can't play this. Like, but because it was this year, they fell into the trap of having this. So I don't blame them for how the game runs. I don't. And again, me personally, I don't have any major. I haven't even encountered any real minor issues. For me, it's just kind of like, yeah, the frame rate's kind of trash, and yeah, I can tell graphically it's not exactly
Right.
pop cracking like that. I'm like, but I don't
But you
really
also
care very
understand
much.
why it's like that.
Correct.
That's the
I
thing.
100% understand why it's like that. So I'm not mad. I'm not mad at the game. I'm not mad at the developers. I'm just like, this is great. I can tell this is an excellent game, and structurally it functions fantastically. So, you know, I'm good. I can tell the gameplay is on point, the story's on point. This is an RPG. Okay, I'm not. Yes. Do I wish it looked better for me? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I don't games like that. I'm not looking for that for an RPG. Like I want the story to be good. I want the narrative to be good. I want the gameplay like interaction to be good. Eh, I'm not again, I'm old school, so I don't really care as much about how it looks as much as about how it plays and how
Right.
how the story moves along. Because again, it's an RPG. Like I don't, you look at games like how games looked before, and Mass Effect looked good back in the day, but it wasn't pushing the graphical scale like by any means. Yeah, Mass Effect, and again, RPG. Excellent. Like I don't, you looked at even on games, older games, Fables and all these things, and
Grand Theft Auto.
it, man, I don't even know where to put that game. It falls under way too many categories to just be one thing. Like that's why they had to make up a new what was it, sandbox.
Hmm.
They had to come up with new terminologies for that game because there was no way to put it under one branch. Does it have action elements? Yep. Adventure? Yep. Is it RPG elements? Yep. It's got sports in there.
I was
Yep.
about to say racing.
Racing. Yep. There's too much going on in that game for you to even be able to classify it under one thing. Like
It's
it's the
almost like Rockstar is
unclassifiable
like,
game.
so what are all the genres out there? Cool. Put it in this
Put
game.
everything in this. What? Yep. Put it all in there. Fighting. Just put everything in there. Okay. But yes, Cyberpunk again. I'm enjoying it thus far. I think it's great. It it draws you in, and I like that, and that's fine. That's all I want from my games. I just want to get immersed in it, like, and that's which is why one of the best games I played recently, Tetris Effect Connected. It's immersive. It's the most immersive game I've played in a long time.
I challenged somebody to that game and they still haven't accepted my challenge.
I mean, I know I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who that is. So coming soon, however, to something, whether it be on the SGA or somebody's personal Twitch or the SGA YouTube channel or whatever. I think now don't get me, I'm not putting any of this in stone, but I've heard that Sports Gaming Anonymous is having some sort of competition of sorts, some sort of Olympic style setup, perhaps, where where Sports Game Anonymous may or may not be crowning their in-house gamer of 2020. I don't know. I'm not sure. In an Olympics style setting, we didn't get
And there's a dark horse candidate to win.
and it's not Dev. So we're not and we didn't get a 2020 Olympics this year, but SGA might be having a 2020 Olympics to compensate for that. So we'll see. I mean, we try and get that off the ground
because we pretty much have it set. But I'm wondering if we should poll the Facebook group and maybe our other social medias. But I know the Facebook group would interact with it about like a fan choice game. So like let them pick a game for us to all play. So then it's kind of like a wild card. Like it could be anything. And
I feel like one of the wild card games will be one of the games we may have chosen already, but that's okay.
But we would just let them know, like, hey, these are the list of games that are already chosen. Like, pick another game outside of these, so that we can make sure we don't run into that problem.
Let's do that. We have just decided that that's happening. So
go ahead and leave it in a comment below if you're watching this video and you have a game in mind, because the games that we've already chosen, obviously Madden.
Obviously,
we settled on Mortal Kombat as the fighting game, right?
We did. We settled on Mortal Kombat. What we've tried to do as well is kind of come up with a small group of games that everybody agreed upon across the major genres, which was fighting, sports, racing,
shooter,
and shooter. The real kind of main like I said, the main genres, the main competitive genres. And then we were just going to also let all the competitors pick any one game of choice to also enter into said competition with no rebuttal from the other members. Everybody gets an override game that automatically gets in. Obviously, your choice would be something you would hope you could beat everybody else in.
Right.
But yes,
and obviously it has to have a multiplayer, function.
Obviously, correct. But yes, we like you said, we decided Mortal Kombat. I already forgot what the first.
We did Mortal Kombat, Madden, a custom game in Call of Duty.
Yes,
but now that I'm thinking about it, we could have done a custom game in Halo also.
We don't do that. Yeah, I don't want those problems.
Didn't C pick?
Yeah, I don't want those problems.
What did C pick?
I don't know. I mean, I know we had, aside from Madden, obviously we were trying to segue to things that were on Game Pass since we all have it.
Because I think Lance did 2K.
Probably.
But 2K20 was on Game Pass, not 2K21. But I mean, 2K is 2K at a certain point.
This point. It's all the same. I don't think we decided on a racing game.
No, we were torn between which Forza. Do Motorsport or Horizon.
Yeah. My gut says Horizon because I think I'll go with whatever we decide as a unit, but Motorsport is so
technical.
It's so techy. And I don't have a problem with the sim aspect of the racing. It's just so much going on that, like, I don't know. I feel like the entry, but again, whatever we decide as a group is fine. I know I threw a Hot Shot Racing just to throw it out there for namesake. Because that was something we were all kind of playing one night, and it was just like everybody was, kind of grinding that out. So that was good times. But yeah, like I said, shooter could be, like I said, I would throw Halo into the mix for namesake. I mean, it's there. It's on Game Pass. A custom game of that is easy to set up. It's got so many options for that. Which Halo, obviously, we don't know. Probably Reach, I would say, because since that was the most recent one, that was great. Um, I would have to look at how Halo 3 functioned in the Master Chief Collection slightly, a little bit more closely. But Reach probably has more elements that everybody, it would translate more for everybody. But again, we all have Call of Duty or some version of it, whether it was Warzone or Cold War or whatever. Um, so yeah, I don't
So
think
be on.
C ever
So
bought.
stay tuned for that. We'll
Yeah.
we'll announce when and where. Um, because we got to get everyone's schedules in order so everyone can show up. No duck and dev.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's no ducking, no running.
Even
But
though I'm
again,
already
this
2-0
is
against him in Madden, but
woof. Wow.
yeah, I had to
That
put that out
that
there.
just happened. It did happen. But again, this is one of those things that we can do kind of, you know, whoever's, if you got a certain matchup against somebody, you knock that out and then you move to that whatever next bracket in the round of that particular game. And then, it's one of those things that's good because it doesn't have to always be everybody available at the same time, obviously. And obviously I think this is also something that naturally with how this is going to function and um the nature of this,
Hmm.
obviously it should be streamed somewhere, whether it be whoever's playing and whatever they're playing. If they're playing somebody, it can go up on the SGA YouTube channel, or whichever person's personal Twitch, channel. Whoever's playing, it needs to be streamed somewhere. We need receipts. We need proof. We're not taking anybody at any word. I don't care. All of this needs to be quote unquote televised for the community, in some fashion. That way, whether it's us or we can get clips from it and show everybody and have, montages put together, whatever the case may be. By the time, whoever's crowned the winner, they can have their, subsequent clips. So yes, look out for that. Look out for the information. Look out for polls. All that information will be coming soon. Make sure you go out and subscribe to Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate. Also, you don't need an Xbox to have that, so you can do that on your PC as well. So thank you for joining us for another riveting edition of the Flash and Dre Dubs podcast.
Glad I could fill in.
Yes, appreciate you filling in. And we were on hiatus. 2020 sucks. There's no other two ways about it. Like it's trash. 2020 has been trash. So, but we will do our best to keep the train moving, if you will, on content coming at you, coming to a theater near you, and coming to a social media platform near you, which would be where again, Dre?
So, you know, anywhere, we're pretty much anywhere that you are except TikTok. So if you're on YouTube, you can see us at Sports Gaming Anonymous. If you're on Facebook, join the group Sports Gaming Anonymous. If you're on Twitter, at Sports Games Anon for character purposes. If you're on Instagram, Sports Gaming Anonymous. All these will be located in the description below. You can also go to our YouTube channel, go to the About page, and all of our links are in there as well. But yeah, so those are the main pages that you can find us, comment, like, send us a DM if you have a question, anything like that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, obviously, we
Perfect.
got our personal Twitch channels, and we also stream live from the SGA YouTube channel.
That's right.
But yeah, that
Sure
is it.
do. Appreciate that, sir. And yeah, so here we are, and that's that. Thank you guys for joining us this week, and catch us on the very next episode, whenever that is, of the Flash and Dash podcast. Peace out.